we got a new little video essay here. Gang. Several days after Donald J. Trump won presidency. You can see my Death of an Industry poster. Kind of, if you look closely over here, the MAGA film series as well there. I was just going to pull a couple things from the Death of an Industry, particularly about, kind of the tariffs and bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., which is what the goal would be, right?
What do you say to that?
Are you recording me?
Yeah.
I think it's magical thinking. I think that, what jobs are you going to bring back? I can't believe you're going to bring back needle trade, sewing and that kind of stuff. And, are you going to bring back advanced manufacturing? Maybe. Are you going to build the plants? Maybe.
Well, in the case of retailing, why can't you not do that?
Well, it's not retailing. It's the wholesale part of
Or
it.
the wholesale, rather, yeah.
Fabric and that kind of stuff.
Right.
You mean like dresses and
Right.
coats and
Right.
stuff. Those plants are all closed. I mean, where are you going to manufacture this stuff? You're going to reopen those plants, put new machinery in there, hire people, train them? You're going to do that? Those plants have been closed for years. And you're going to have to bring, manufacturing's moved on. There's new machinery and that kind of stuff throughout the world. And many, so those plants will not only have to be reopened, but they're going to have to be brought up to date. And those workers are gone. You're going to have to get a new group of workers and train them. And you're going to have to pay them a living wage in the United States. So, you're going to need a lot of capital to do it, and your labor costs are going to be higher. Now, you don't have the shipping expense, maybe you don't have the insurance expense, maybe there's a lot of expenses you do not have that are associated with making offshore, and you don't have to pay the duty. But still, it might be still you're going to have to charge a much higher price. If you look what I think it's called, American Giant charges for fleece, take a look at those prices. I'm sure the quality is absolutely great. But, it might be hard to be it. And I don't know if anybody has said, okay, this is where we're going to put the plants, these are our opportunities and that kind of thing.
To give the best price to the consumer, but ultimately these consumers work retailing. So in many cases, protecting the consumer costs them their jobs.
I feel like I've been ahead of the curve a few times. I mean, the early inauguration, that was, the film one, I call it, of the MAGA film series. Ralphie's Blue, film 2, Single Women in America, film 3, and then 4 is the Death of an Industry, retailing, the change. My dad would say it's a change, not death. My sister would, I would say death. My sister's an analyst, Wall Street analyst, financial analyst. And first off, the Millard Tidings thing is really important. And my sister explains this idea that Trump is going to help small business, right? Or that Republicans are going to help small business, or these kind of people, Elon Musk and these guys. It's the exact opposite. The Millard Tidings Act was in place to protect small business, was undone by the Walmart. Sam Walton was big. She explains all that.
Protections that came out of the New Deal and in the late 30s, one of which called the Millard Tidings Act, which protected smaller retailers because it didn't allow price discrimination. But it wasn't until the 1970s, and actually 1975, that all of those the pricing protections that were built in were dismantled by the Consumer Pricing Act, which essentially consolidated power amongst the largest players. That would be your Walmart and Target. And in fact, Sam Walton campaigned, lobbied Washington in the late 60s for these legislative changes that paved the way for big box stores and made it much harder for the smaller retailers.
The reason this film is really interesting is because it explains a lot of the anger and a lot of the argument, kind of establishment argument. It was like, well, what are they angry about? You know, it's like, well, this is what they're angry about, you know. So I think the film's really important in that sense. I think it deserves, you know, as is kind of an intro, kind of intercutting some of those sequences to kind of illustrate the point, which, you know, both my sister and my dad make, I think, quite well.